Lieutenant Commander Sophia Reeves stood at the helm of the UES Horizon, humanity's most advanced deep space vessel, as reality itself seemed to ripple before them. The massive crystalline structure that had just emerged from hyperspace dwarfed their ship like an ocean liner next to a rowboat. After decades of searching the cosmos, humanity had finally made contact. "Quantum readings are off the charts, Commander," reported Lieutenant Raj Patel, his dark eyes reflecting the ethereal glow of his holographic displays. "Their energy signature suggests technology beyond anything we've ever encountered." At 38, Reeves had prepared her entire career for this moment. Her regulation uniform was pristine, and she maintained perfect posture as she assessed the situation. The alien vessel before them seemed to be constructed of living crystal, pulsing with an inner light that defied conventional physics. "Open communications, standard first contact protocols," she ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. The view screen shimmered to life, revealing a being that seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously. Its form coalesced into something vaguely humanoid, composed of shifting violet energy, contained within a crystalline exoskeleton. "I am Lieutenant Commander Sophia Reeves of the United Earth Ship Horizon. We come in peace, seeking diplomatic relations and cultural exchange." The response came in perfect English, dripping with amusement. "How quaint. I am Archon Vix of the Valaxian Collective. We've been observing your species' clumsy attempts at quantum manipulation, like watching insects discover their own shadows." Reeves felt her crew tense at the condescension, but maintained her diplomatic composure. "While we may be younger than your civilization, we've made significant advances in quantum mechanics and interstellar travel." "Advances?" Vix interrupted, their crystalline form chiming with what could only be laughter. "Your quantum drives are equivalent to stone tools. We mastered the fundamental forces of reality, while your ancestors were still discovering fire." Dr. Kayla Winston, the ship's lead physicist, stepped forward. "Perhaps we could share insights. Our approach to quantum entanglement has yielded unique results." More crystalline laughter joined from off-screen. "Unique? Your unique approaches are like watching a child draw with mud and calling it art. Though I suppose we shouldn't expect more from beings still trapped in crude physical forms." Throughout the exchange, Lieutenant Patel quietly ran deep scans, gathering every bit of data possible, while the Valaxians reveled in their superiority. Reeves noticed his subtle nods. They were learning more than their arrogant visitors realized. "We will permit your species limited access to our outer trading outposts," Vix finally declared. "Perhaps in a few millennia, you'll evolve enough to be of use. Do try not to damage anything with your primitive technology." After the transmission ended, Reeves turned to her crew. "Report." Patel's fingers danced across his console. "Commander, their arrogance made them careless. They never bothered to mask their quantum signatures. The data we've gathered, there's something peculiar about their technology. They're using quantum mechanics, yes, but there's an underlying pattern they seem completely blind to." Dr. Winston was already analyzing the readings, her expression transforming from humiliation to fascination. "These patterns, they align perfectly with Dr. Marcus Blackwell's theoretical work on dimensional intersection points. He's been arguing that quantum mechanics is merely a surface-level manifestation of something far more fundamental." "Can you get this data to him securely?" Reeves asked. "Yes, but—" Winston hesitated. "His project is classified beyond my clearance level. I'm not even supposed to know about it." Reeves made her decision. "Lieutenant Patel, wipe this conversation from the logs. Dr. Winston, send everything we've gathered to Dr. Blackwell. The Valaxians think we're primitive animals fumbling in the dark. Let's show them how dangerous it can be to underestimate humanity." As the Horizon began its journey home, Reeves gazed at the vast expanse of space. The Valaxians' mockery had stung, but they had given humanity something far more valuable than their respect. They had given them motivation. In their arrogance, they had revealed secrets they didn't even know they possessed. In a hidden facility beneath the Atacama Desert, Dr. Marcus Blackwell would soon receive a data packet that would change everything. The Valaxians thought humans were playing with toys, but they would soon learn that sometimes the most profound discoveries come from seeing with fresh eyes, unbound by millennia of assumptions. Reeves allowed herself a small smile. The Valaxians had dismissed humanity as primitive beings bound by physical forms. They would learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology, but in their ability to see possibilities where others saw limitations. "Set course for Earth, maximum speed," she ordered. "We have work to do." As the Horizon's engines hummed to life, Reeves couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter was just the beginning. In their mockery, the Valaxians had revealed not just their technological secrets, but their greatest weakness, their absolute certainty in their own superiority. It was a weakness humanity would soon exploit in ways none of them could imagine. For now, though, they had to move quickly. Every second counted, and somewhere in the vast darkness of space, ancient forces were stirring. Forces that would soon make the Valaxians' arrogance seem like a trivial concern in comparison to what was coming. The first phase of humanity's greatest challenge had begun, and ironically, it had started with laughter. The mocking laughter of beings who had no idea they had just handed their greatest rivals the key to transcending reality itself. Dr. Marcus Blackwell stood before a shimmering containment field in his underground laboratory, watching as reality itself seemed to hiccup and twist. The facility, buried deep beneath the Atacama Desert and known only as Project Threshold, thrummed with energy as experimental equipment probed the boundaries between dimensions. "Another anomaly in Sector 7, reported Dr. Olivia Bennett, her fingers moving across holographic controls. The Australian quantum physicist had been his research partner for the past 5 years, helping turn his theoretical work into reality. "The particles aren't just entangling this time, Marcus. They're doing something else." "Not something else," Blackwell corrected, his eyes reflecting the quantum field's ethereal light. "They're facing through dimensional planes." He brushed a hand through his graying hair, studying the readings with intense concentration. The secure terminal behind them chimed, indicating an incoming transmission. The message from Dr. Winston aboard the Horizon made his blood run cold. As the data streamed across his screens, his eyes widened. "Olivia, look at these quantum signatures." She joined him, her expression shifting from curiosity to astonishment. "These readings from the Valaxian ship, they're almost identical to our anomaly in Sector 7. "Not almost," Blackwell said, excitement building in his voice. "They're exactly the same pattern. The Valaxians are using quantum mechanics to brute force their way through space-time. But look here." He highlighted a subtle fluctuation in the data. "They're completely missing the dimensional intersection points. They're so focused on quantum manipulation that they can't see the bigger picture." Olivia leaned closer, her scientific skepticism warring with growing excitement. "Are you saying what I think you're saying? Everyone, including the Valaxians, treats quantum mechanics as the foundation," Blackwell explained, already running new calculations. "But it's not the foundation at all. It's just our three-dimensional perspective of something much larger. We've been trying to break through the dimensional barrier, but what if we don't need to break it at all?" The next few weeks became a blur of activity. Blackwell's team worked around the clock, combining their theoretical work with the Valaxian data. What emerged was unprecedented, a theory that would revolutionize humanity's understanding of the universe. "The dimensional barrier isn't a wall," Blackwell explained to the United Earth Defense Council during an emergency session. "It's more like a lens. We've been trying to punch through it, but what we really need to do is adjust our focus. The quantum particles aren't moving through space. Space is moving around them." Admiral Helena Rodriguez, head of Earth Defense, leaned forward. "Can you weaponize it?" Blackwell shared a knowing look with Olivia. "Better. We can transcend it. The Valaxians think they've mastered quantum technology, but they're still playing in 3 dimensions. We found a way to step outside the board entirely." Construction began immediately on a prototype vessel. Unlike the crystalline ships of the Valaxians, This one was built around a core of curved space itself, held in place by quantum fields tuned to dimensional frequencies the Valaxians had never imagined. As the ship took shape, troubling reports arrived from the frontier. The Valaxians were expanding their presence, establishing outposts in neighboring systems. Their message was clear. They were claiming this sector of space, treating humanity's territory like a quaint reservation for primitive beings. "How long until the prototype is ready?" Admiral Rodriguez asked, watching construction through the facility's observation deck. 2 months, Blackwell replied. "Maybe less. The principles are sound. We just need to scale up the containment fields." "Make it 1 month," she ordered. "Long-range sensors show the Valaxians are up to something big. We need to be ready." Blackwell turned to object but stopped short. Behind the Admiral's stern expression, he saw something that made his blood run cold. The latest sensor data showed something massive approaching from deep space, something that made even the Valaxian quantum signatures look primitive in comparison. As he returned to his lab, the prototype ship loomed behind him. Unlike the elegant crystalline aesthetics of Valaxian vessels, this ship embraced its human origins. It was a deep obsidian that seemed to drink in light, covered in geometric patterns that made the eye slide away in confusion. In his private lab, Blackwell pulled up the latest sensor data from the frontier. Behind the obvious readings of Valaxian activity, there was something else, something that made his theoretical models scream in protest. The Valaxians weren't just expanding. They were running from something. 1 month, he muttered, diving back into his work. Let's hope that's enough time. He glanced at a secure message from Commander Reeves, who had been selected to captain the prototype once it was complete. The Valaxians had called humans primitive for their reliance on physical forms. Soon they would learn that humanity's greatest strength was their ability to think beyond physical limitations. As the facility's lights dimmed for the night shift, Blackwell couldn't shake the feeling that they were all caught in something far larger than a simple conflict between species. The universe was about to reveal secrets that neither humanity nor the Valaxians were ready to face. The real question wasn't whether they could complete the ship in time. It was whether any of them would survive what was coming. The prototype ship, christened UES Transcendence, cast impossible shadows in Project Threshold's cavernous hangar. Commander Sophia Reeves walked its perimeter, studying the vessel that defied conventional physics. At points, the geometric patterns on its hull seemed to overlap with themselves, creating visual paradoxes that gave her a headache if she looked too long. "Final systems check complete," Dr. Blackwell's voice echoed through the facility. "Quantum core is stable, dimensional matrices are aligned. We're as ready as we'll ever be." Reeves watched her hand-picked crew board the vessel. Lieutenant Patel had followed her from the horizon, bringing his experience with Valaxian technology. Dr. Bennett had practically lived in the engine room for the past month, fine-tuning the quantum core. Commander Reeves. Admiral Rodriguez approached, her expression grim. "We've received new intelligence. The Valaxian fleet is mobilizing at an unprecedented scale. Something has them spooked." Reeves nodded, unsurprised. "The dimensional distortions Dr. Blackwell detected are growing stronger. Our long-range sensors show tiers forming in space-time throughout Valaxian territory. They're evacuating entire systems, but they're keeping the reason classified even from their own allies." Inside the Transcendence, Blackwell worked at the dimensional control station, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. The ship's core technology was built around his theories that space, time, and dimension were all perspectives of a larger whole. While the Valaxians brute forced their way through space, the Transcendence would simply step between the dimensional planes. "Commander," Lieutenant Patel called from his station. "Long-range sensors are picking up something massive on the edge of Valaxian space. Whatever it is, it's folding reality around itself." The main screen flickered to life, displaying a region of space that seemed to bend and twist. Stars disappeared into the distortion, while others appeared where none had existed before. The sensor data made no sense, as if they were trying to describe a four-dimensional object with three-dimensional mathematics. "Dr. Blackwell," Reeves called, "what are we looking at?" Marcus's hands flew across his controls, running calculations. It's like nothing we theorized. The dimensional distortions aren't just bending space-time. They're rewriting the fundamental laws of physics in that region. "The Valaxians?" Rodriguez asked through the comm. "No," Blackwell shook his head. "Their technology is crude compared to this. Whatever's coming, it doesn't just understand the higher dimensions. It lives in them." A transmission cut through their discussion. A priority signal from the nearest Valaxian outpost. The crystalline form of Arch and Vix appeared, their usual condescension replaced by something that looked suspiciously like fear. "Commander Reeves," Vix began, their voice lacking its usual musical quality. "We are aware of your vessel's launch. Our sensors indicate you've achieved something unexpected." "Interesting choice of words," Reeves replied coolly. "Just a few months ago, you called us primitive beings playing with toys." "The situation has changed," Vix said. "We're detecting dimensional anomalies that threaten the entire sector. Perhaps our species could benefit from sharing insights." "You mean you need our help?" "What we need," Vix's form flickered with agitation, "is to ensure the survival of all sentient life in this sector. What approaches is beyond anything we've encountered in 50,000 years of space travel." The sensor readings suddenly spiked. The distortion at the edge of Valaxian space had grown, consuming entire star systems in moments. The mathematics behind it were impossible, or rather, they were possible only if you understood that conventional physics was just a shadow cast by higher dimensional laws. As the Transcendence prepared for its first real mission, Reeves couldn't help but appreciate the irony. The Valaxians had dismissed humanity as simple physical beings, never realizing that their very physicality, their need to overcome limitations, had driven them to see beyond the boundaries the Valaxians took for granted. The fate of two civilizations now rested on humanity's greatest gamble. They were about to attempt something no human had ever done: navigate the higher dimensions themselves. The Transcendence slipped between dimensions like a fish through water, its obsidian hull reflecting impossible colors as it approached the anomaly. Inside, the crew watched in awe as reality twisted around them, their revolutionary drive system allowing them to perceive multiple dimensional planes simultaneously. "Multiple Valaxian vessels detected," Paddle reported. They're falling back. Whatever's in that distortion, it's terrifying them." Reeves studied the main display, where space itself seemed to fold and unfold like origami. "Dr. Blackwell, what are we actually seeing?" "Think of normal space as a sheet of paper," he explained, his voice tense with concentration. "What we're watching is something crumpling that paper from a direction we can't normally perceive. The Valaxians can see the paper being manipulated, but we can see the hand doing the crumpling. The entity emerging from the dimensional rift defied description. It existed in more dimensions than human minds could process, appearing simultaneously as a vast crystalline lattice, a storm of quantum possibilities, and something else that hurt to look at directly. "By the stars," Dr. Bennett whispered from her station. "It's not just one being. It's a civilization that evolved beyond dimensional constraints entirely." The entity, or entities, began to communicate, not through conventional signals, but through deliberate manipulations of reality itself. The Transcendence's advanced sensors translated the dimensional distortions into something approaching comprehensible language. "They're not talking to us," Blackwell realized, analyzing the patterns. "They're addressing the Valaxians. They don't even recognize us as sentient." Multiple Valaxian ships vanished in bursts of dimensional energy as the architects began systematically erasing them from existence. Not destroying, erasing, as if they were errors in reality's code that needed to be corrected. "The Valaxians' quantum technology," Reeves said, understanding dawning. "It's attracting them like a beacon. The architects see it as an infection spreading through their higher dimensional domain. "Commander," Patel's voice was urgent. "The Valaxian flagship is hailing us." Archonvix's image appeared, their crystalline form fracturing with stress. "You must help us. We were wrong. So wrong. Your perspective, your primitive physical existence, it lets you see things we cannot." "Dr. Blackwell," Reeves turned to her science officer. "Could we use the dimensional drive to communicate with them? Not through space-time manipulation, but through pure mathematics." "Yes," he said slowly, understanding her plan. "We could show them that consciousness isn't bound by dimensional constraints, that it's the observer that matters, not the dimensions being observed." The Transcendence moved closer to the dimensional anomaly, its unique drive system allowing it to maintain stability where Valaxian ships were being torn apart. Through their sensors, they could see the architect's true form, beings of pure information, viewing lower dimensional space as nothing more than corrupt data to be cleaned. Blackwell and Bennett worked furiously at their stations, translating human consciousness into pure mathematical concepts that transcended dimensional boundaries. They weren't just sending a message. They were proving a theorem about the nature of existence itself. The response was immediate. The dimensional storms paused as the architects processed this new information, a proof that consciousness and intelligence could arise from what they considered corrupted space. "Because limitation breeds innovation," Reeves transmitted back. "Physical form isn't a constraint. It's a perspective that allows us to see possibilities that beings of pure energy might miss. The Valaxians aren't corrupting higher dimensional space. They're learning to see it, just as we are." There was a long pause as the architects processed this. Around them, the fabric of space slowly began to restitch itself. The architects began to withdraw, their impossible form folding back through dimensions humans couldn't perceive. As they departed, they left behind one final message. As the dimensional storms subsided, Reeves turned to see Archonvix's image on the screen. The Valaxian leader's crystalline form had stabilized, but their posture was notably different, humbled. "It seems we both had much to learn," Vix said quietly. "We thought transcendence meant abandoning physical form. You showed us it means understanding that all perspectives have value." "Perhaps," Reeves suggested, "this is an opportunity for both our species to grow. You've mastered quantum mechanics. We've learned to see beyond it. Together, we might be able to prepare for the next time we encounter beings like the architects." As the Transcendence began its journey home, Reeves reflected on how far humanity had come. In just a few months, they had gone from being mocked as primitives to saving two civilizations by proving that their very limitations were actually their greatest strength. The universe, they had learned, was far stranger and more wonderful than either humans or Valaxians had imagined. And somewhere out there, the architects were watching, curious to see what other surprises these peculiar physical beings might reveal about the true nature of existence itself. The stars seemed different now, knowing what they knew. Reality wasn't just what you could see or measure. It was an endless series of perspectives, each valuable in its own way. And humanity, with its unique ability to embrace both limitation and possibility, was finally ready to take its place among the cosmos' most profound mysteries. "Take us home," Reeves ordered, a smile playing at her lips. "We have a lot of work ahead of us." The Transcendence slipped between dimensional planes, carrying with it the promise of a new era, one where humanity's greatest weakness had proven to be its greatest strength, and where the boundaries between possible and impossible had been forever redrawn. The end, or perhaps just the beginning. This concludes the 5-part story of humanity's journey from mockery to salvation, showcasing our species' unique ability to turn limitations into advantages and see possibilities where others see only constraints. Would you like me to provide YouTube-optimized titles and descriptions for this story, or help with anything else?